What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Let's see, I can bounce this down, right? What's up? Oh, gotta make sure that's turned off. Hope you're all doing well. It's been a wild weekend. Not wild. It's just, well, I mean, it's kind of been wild. It's been super busy for me, as you guys know. Ooh, let me go back here. No, why are you... Dude, Twitch, I wish Twitch had you could turn off that autoplay. It's so annoying. I want to be able to see Reaper miniatures. There we go. It's been wild. It has been wild. There we go. Cool. I just wanted to see how many people were watching and know when to start. I always start whenever we get like 20 or so. We're going to be working on our marrow. Should be very fun. Yeah, I spent the weekend I rebuilt my entire website from scratch on a different platform, and that took forever. And I think I really started that, I guess, on Saturday. Yeah, started that on Saturday all day long. And then I'm trying to think what else exactly. Got that done. And then Amazon lost. It was weird because they lost all my shipping supplies I ordered, and then they showed up. So it was supposed to arrive on Wednesday, and it showed up today. And the whole time they're like, you can get a refund. And then they never let me get a refund, and it still arrived. And then like they just did the same thing for something else that I ordered on the exact same day. It was 1 day shipping, right? And it says your package may be lost, right? Get a refund or replacement. The last update was on Friday, January 15th. And then, so if I ask them for a refund, it doesn't actually update anything. But so, I don't know. So that's been really weird because I kind of need all that. I have a bunch of stuff to ship out. But that's how it goes, man. Just nothing happens easy, as it turns out. So, all right. Now then, looking at the marrow, let's do... Okay. So I'm going to grab our bronze shadow. I always... Since I don't have these colors memorized, I always get really paranoid that I'm like grabbing a color that shouldn't be there. I don't know why I'm always afraid of that, but let me see. See, bronze shadow's not there. Okay. See, that's what... Get away. I'm gonna put this up here. I always get so paranoid. All right. Polished leather, swarthy barthy, and then what else? We need... I'm gonna grab peachy and candlelight. All right, cool. So we'll get pretty close there. And I want to start off... Yes. And then that's purple. Okay. We're gonna start off with polished leather. It's been a while since I painted the marrow, so we're gonna have to see if I can actually remember how I did it. But the joys of painting, right? I did get to paint a little bit over the weekend. Oh no, we didn't. This has been a crazy week, actually, to be honest with you. I know you guys saw this though. I was working on the Mandalorian bust that's kind of like Borderlands style, like 2D. It's kind of cool. Everything I've been doing keeps getting rescheduled. It's so funny. either of my own accord or someone else's. Let me put this guy on one of these boys. Okay. So, this definitely is closer to a glaze on top of the zenithal. If you didn't zenithal highlight, it's fine. What I would do is mix this in with some of the nut brown, just to get a darker starting point. But for everybody else, glazing this color on top very thin should be a-okay for you to get the party starty. And I'm just trying to move relatively quickly, right? So that way the colors all have that even surface tension to dry correctly. And we're pretty much getting it. This weekend we've got more Patreon stuff. We're also finishing up the dwarf bust this week, which is exciting. We are starting on a new project. I don't have the miniature here. Most of them get shipped out tomorrow. But for the Atelier tier, it's our long form projects. Painting a really cool, I don't even know how to describe it, some kind of Eastern inspired like Plague Doctor style mini on the back of a yak. So that's really cool. And then this weekend, I think it's a wolf. I think it's the Winter Wolf Bones Black Mini is what we're painting for the $10 tier. Doing lots and lots of fur. I did add all kinds of cool stuff, though, to the website today. Added more stuff from Archvillain, and then a bunch of busts as well. I know a lot of people were asking if I could figure out how to license some busts. And I did. I got quite a few on there. I'm excited to see more from the White Werewolf Tavern. That's a new company I've got on there. But their busts are large. They're really big. They're like 75 mil scale. And then the other ones that I have on there, pretty good size too. They're like 54 mil scale, but they're a little bit taller. Depends on which one you order, obviously. But I can show you guys an example of one of those if you would so like. I do have those right here. We will have to wait for our glaze to dry. You can see how much it dulls down too. New prints? Yeah, exactly. That's the trap, right? There's going to be new stuff every single month. And then the way that it looks like... so, like, Signum and Archvillain, they're pretty on top of it. Like, their stuff comes out relatively expectedly at the beginning of the month. So, that's, you know, as soon as I can get all the imagery processed and then all the inventory added to the store, the new pages made, whatever, that stuff goes up. But it looks like the White Werewolf folks, all those sculptors... they kind of release throughout the month. So, sorry, I'm having heartburn today. I was bad. I haven't taken my omeprazole in like 2 days. So that means I'm dead, pretty much. I've been so good about it. I think it's because I moved the bottle. Out of sight, out of mind type of thing. All right, we're gonna let this dry. Before we do anything else. Actually, what did J Basic? What did you order? I'm trying to remember. I'll be ditching Squarespace. That feels weird. I've been with Squarespace forever. All right, let me see. Here you are. Oh, that's not you. That's you. You got Asa, Azeji. Oh, okay, so yeah, pretty much everything's done. Here, you haven't seen this guy. Here's your Gwenbesh. Look at that, huh? Isn't that big? The base is really cool too, but this sculpt is so cool. The rest of his sword is in another part you just glue on. But yeah, definitely fun. I like the scaling of these. They work out really well. That's cool that you're watching this. You could see a little preview of that. But yeah, your stuff is ready to ship out. It's big. I feel like people didn't realize when they were ordering 150. That's why I removed a lot of the 150 option, by the way. Like, I'm done playing that game. But this is the size of the $15 bust for people that were interested. So this is definitely a good deal, Lucille. I've got, hold on, where's another one? Let me see. So you can kind of see the difference, right? It depends on which one you order. Some are shorter than others, obviously. I had more. I don't know. Oh, they're in the other room. That should give you an idea. And they're solid. They're not hollow. What's crazy is now that I'm messing with this, like, I've had people ship me stuff that's been hollowed, but they don't put holes in it, so inevitably it's gonna explode. Like, some of these guys literally cut corners like you wouldn't believe. Did you get priming? No, bare resin, okay. Yeah, I gotta prime all the orders tonight, too. So tomorrow I'm not gonna be able to breathe, but it's okay. That's how that goes. But you can see all the zenithal showing through. Obviously, we've got some shading to do. Shading and re-highlighting to get our marrow to where we want it to be. But nothing too crazy, I don't think. Let me see. We had fun. I'm going to grab Dragon Copper so we can do the weapon. We had fun streaming some Grim Dawn on Friday. That's kind of a thing Sydney and I are doing now on Fridays, just streaming some gamies for Patreon people. And of course, we've kept playing. So, if you thought we were only going to play on stream, we're not. Sorry, we're gonna keep going because that's our flavor of the week. I'm just going for good coverage here. But all the bones metallics are sweet. Now you really want some big minis, yeah? Well, the 125 scale, if it's available on the website, is like totally fine. Like that Gwenbesh would be about the size of the marrow, right? Like that should give you an idea. And like your Asa is so big. Whenever you get these in the mail, you're gonna be like, I didn't realize it was gonna be so big. But like I said, those options don't exist anymore for quite a few miniatures just because even though my printer can print stuff that's 12 inches wide by like 15 inches tall, I'm not going to do that because obviously that takes forever, even on a mono screen. And the way that you guys order, like literally the morning before I turned off the store, I went to bed at midnight, okay? And there were no new orders for like a day. And then I wake up to like 4 more orders after midnight. And I'm like, guys, come on. Come on. I gotta be able to breathe. Alright, so we're gonna let that dry. Letting everything dry here. What color did I do? Blue. Alright, we can do that. Let's grab our dark blue here. Yeah, the King of Hell class was really fun, man. That was a good time. I forgot who actually bought that miniature. I know I sold it. I said, be gone. But yeah, that was a good one. But I think you'll be excited for the paint along with the Asa because it's so big. Like, I'm not even kidding. The bowl is like from here to here. It's huge. That is hollow. The bowl's hollow. So you've got three holes on the underside of its belly that no one can see. But whenever you're printing gigantic stuff like that, you always want to hollow it out because it can create too much suction, and then it will cause like really weird warping or shift lines. Like there's all kinds of problems you can have. So we're just going to put the blue on here. This miniature is a super easy color scheme, obviously. We have like 2 things to paint. Well, I guess like technically, right, color-wise, we have the green for the vines, or whatever it is, not vines, right, like seaweed. You could probably even say that maybe the skirt he's wearing is seaweed, right? You could probably get away with that, but it seriously is like a 4-color paint job. Now, obviously, we're using more than that, but in terms of primary coloration. Cool. Now then, skin is looking good. So what we're going to do is we are going to take... Yes, okay. So we're going to take nut brown and a little bit of our... Actually, wait a minute. Yeah, we're going to do nut brown and dragon red, as well as some Styx purple. And this is how we're going to work in all of our shading here. I'm not vortexing this stuff, but if need be, I will. Let me actually back this out. Man, I'm coughing from all the airbrushing I did like an idiot without a mask this morning. Shame on me. I know. It's my one frequent hobby sin that I pay for constantly. And I always tell people, wear a mask, and then I don't. Like a dum-dum. Okay. So, we're gonna shift the nut brown 2 different ways. So I'm gonna put some water on the palette there, grab a little bit of that. And let's start with the purple. So I'm gonna grab some purple. And we're just gonna have a purple dark brown. We're gonna use this to work into our shadows, etc., etc. You want to make sure this is all dry, though. You don't want to just jump right into it. Is this a Bones 5 mini? No, this Marrow's been out for a long, long time. I'm pretty sure. Nope, no Bones 5. You know, what's funny is Ron, like 4 months ago, told me he was going to get a list of minis from Bones 5 for me to paint, and then never heard about it again. Alright, so I'm gonna throw it down here on the other leg. Pretty much we're gonna do the purple on one side and like the red on the other. Bottom side of the belly. The trick here is that we want to leave some of the just like standard ochre tone that we had. Make sure you get up underneath the armpit. Yeah, I definitely am like not considered when it comes to any of that, so. But I am glad I got to do the Shadow Dragon. I think that's pretty. It's not your normal Reaper paint job, so I'm definitely proud to have been involved with that. Oh, looks like my Zenithal I just removed that. Okay, we gotta let that dry. It wasn't dry all the way. Oh, not good. Oh, I was gonna use the airbrush here to dry it. Okay, I can't do that. I forgot I pulled my needle back. Okay. Let's see if we can fudge this real quick. There we go. So you can see we're just shading it all down. I'm gonna remix this here. Bottom side of the arm into the wrist here. And I'm just gonna grab water to taper it. And we're going to go back over everything too as we re-highlight it. This is more so just kind of like us sculpting into the shadows. Go back here onto the leg. It was a little bit thin the first time. But the idea, right, if we're painting sort of this yellow ochre skin, that I would rather go super thin with all the transitions so that way we can leave certain areas very prominent and highlighted. That way you're not forcibly painting yellow all over, if that makes sense. That's something people always struggle with. Now, obviously, if you're an Imperial Fist player, if you play Warhammer, or any of the factions that are like nothing but a certain color, right, you do kind of have to deal with the pain, but... Then I'm gonna throw some underneath his big old chin there. And I think that'll be it for this color on that side of the body. So now I'm gonna take the nut brown up here. Some of the red, dragon red. Yep. And so instead of a purpley brown, now we have a reddish brown. And that's just gonna go on the other side. So other side of everything, the belly, meeting about halfway in the middle. I want competing tones, right? So cool tone with the purple, really warm. I mean, the purple that we use is actually kind of a warm tone in general, but you get the idea. Two competing colors. This could very easily be done with a nadiral application of the same colors with your airbrush from below, right? Like it would take you 2 seconds to do it and it would look really good, but... we do things by hand on this show for accessibility's sake. Not everybody's got an airbrush. And not everybody that has an airbrush has one that's working currently, right? Like me, mine all the time is like never working, so I always have to sacrifice a chicken and pray to get it to get cleaned properly. Alright, so we're gonna have to let this dry again. Our model's supposed to come with the paint, the Miniature Monday kit for this month. Xanifer, there are no more kits. So that was the big change for this year, right? There's a paint set, and then you just buy the miniatures every month. That way we were able to expand our palette and make production actually happen on time, etc., etc. Okay, so I am happy with this currently. We're just gonna keep letting it go. Here we'll compare it, right? So you can see the shadows are getting similar here. We're gonna glaze back on top one more time. On the right-hand side of the face here, I'm gonna go in with the same colors. You can see I'm just kind of placing it. And then going back in with water to help move it around, shape it, like so. do more on this side of the belly. Now that it's dry. I'm kind of like framing the like portions inside the seaweed there. Okay. Back on the leg, the inside of the leg, under the knee. Remixing the red here. Is the list for next month announced? No, it is not. That is, should be happening this week. And that'll be coming from me, like, you'll know as soon as I've got it. All the photos taken, everything like that. And I'll share it out, and then they'll obviously repost it. Alright, now we're going back in with the purple. We've obviously super saturated the reds in there. Now we're going back in. Into the wrist. Underside of the belly again. The section that like literally came off because I was impatient. Gotta repaint that. And then the shadow areas on the foot. Cool. And shadows on the left side of the face facing us. There we go. All right, so we have sculpted down everything. So you can see, right, we're going to be building back on top of this now. Just a matter of drying time. Go ahead and take the dark brown purple mix. You can add some of the blue in there too if you want. And I'm just going to use this as a wash on top of our hook deal. Fisherman's hook? I don't know. I know we had a discussion about this at some point, I think. Or maybe it was on my Patreon. I couldn't remember what. I didn't know what to call this thing. Maybe it's a harpoon, right? I don't know. Okay. We're just gonna let that dry. Doing pretty well. Got all of our shadows done in about 30 minutes. That's pretty good. Pretty good, pretty quick. All right. So I'm gonna rotate my palette here. Rotating gem. Okay. And we are going to grab, let's see, you know, honestly, we could probably get away with it, but we're going to do some of the Barbarian / Swarthy. A pike pole for firefighting. Maybe he is, yeah. I'm going to grab some of that. And then we'll do Candlelight. I have no idea, Barry. Asking the wrong guy. I'm sure the chat will have an answer for you. And then I'm going to do the Peachy / Youthful Flesh. There we go. Is that right? What have I done here? Hold on. I'm losing my mind. What? Okay. Alright, hold on. I have totally blinded myself to the leather that we used. What has just... Okay. This is my favorite game. It's right here. Why do I do that to myself? Why did I move it? Oh my gosh, you guys. Brain on non-compute here. There we go. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the Swarthy Barb flesh, mix it in with our leather here. A little bit more yellow. A little bit more of that Candlelight yellow. There we go. A little bit of the Youthful / Peachy. Like I have to call it both all the time. And this, there it is going to be sort of where we begin our re-layering. Nice and thin. And I'm paying attention to each of these different sections and tapering it up towards the top of every section, so that way we get a nice little gradient into the shadow colors that we layered in before. If we have to do multiple coats, we'll do multiple coats, but I'm not too concerned. Here, let me zoom in for you. It won't be super obvious, obviously, until it dries. I have so many light sources on top that it's just going to reflect color on you. So maybe not the belly first. Here, we'll start here on the arm. Easy enough. Okay. Looks pretty good. Essentially, I'm just aiming for any of the areas that have this, like, middle-of-the-road coverage from the initial zenithal, right? And that's where I'm going back to apply the color that we just mixed. So we're obviously going to get way more saturation, way richer tone. Going up into the bicep. Nobody in chat knows. I don't know. I'm not sure. Playing D&D, I've never. I usually DM. I don't think I've ever done an encounter with a marrow. So. An ogre. Well, ogres don't usually have gills. So. I mean, I see the resemblance, but. Pushing up to the top of the shoulder here. Yeah, a water ogre type of thing. Definitely plausible. Top of the pec here. and I'm sculpting it around the shadow on the shoulder, right? We want all these colors to interact together nicely. There you go. We'll just start saying it's a dwarf. It's a dwarf. But yeah, the nose and everything is definitely, like, it's hard to see, right? So like, if we look at the painted version, that it's way more obvious that this isn't necessarily kind of like your standard ogre, right? Because the nose is very, it's not humanoid necessarily. Like, it's more of like a like a dog snout kind of. Like, it's very weird, the styling there. So that's what always threw me when I was painting it the first time, was like, huh. That's also why I did the oh, that's cool. Spam risk call. That's why I did the pink and the purple undertone in the skin, just to make it a little bit different around the face, because it kind of like didn't make sense, I guess. I don't know. I definitely like it though. I like the stance it's in, all that good stuff. I'm just recoding these areas here to make sure that they're good. Now I'm doing the top of the shoulder too. Towards the back. And we're going a lot lighter here too. We're just recoding everything. But then again, I don't know who sculpted this. This may be I would say it's a Bobby Jackson sculpt, but it may be a Jason. I'm not sure. It could be either, honestly. They both both are good at the bigger, chunkier fellows. I'm just going to throw a layer of color here, though, onto the upper lip and everything like that. Remember, we are going back with a different color for those details, but see how I did the side of the face. Okay. So, on top of where the gill is right there, I'm going to go in and highlight down to the huge double chin. Relayering the color. Random question about sculpting miniatures. Well, Reaper also makes armatures as well in metal. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They have like a bare bones, very thin one. Obviously, it only works if it's like the size that you're looking for. But then they have one that's like heroic as well. They have like a bare bones one that's like really muscly, and then one that's kind of standard, if I'm not mistaken. But otherwise, I know people just use copper copper wire and green stuff, or I always forget the other one that they use. Super Sculpey? Is that it? No, I don't remember. Pretty much any epoxy. Epoxy Sculpt. I think that's a brand name. Alright, so now we're going to go around the back. We can actually do a little bit here. But yeah, you know, that's the thing, is like, the people that do the hand sculpting, you should probably watch, so watch Proctor's show and try and ask Jason in the chat, because he's a hand sculptor. Now, he does everything digitally, right? Copper wire to solder with? No. So, what you do, I should have explained that, sorry, that's, okay, so what you do is like you wrap and make the skeleton out of the copper wire, right? So you can pose it, and then you sculpt the muscles and everything around the wire underneath, right? So like that's why they do that. It's not, there's no like soldering or anything. It's all sculpted out of green stuff. I mean, I usually have some on my desk, but I actually put all of my milliput and everything like that out of the way But yeah, think of it like that's what you make the armature out of, and it's until you actually put your epoxy or green stuff on top of it, it should remain bendable. I mean, it kind of can bend in general, depending on how much material and when you're still working with it, but that's what they use it for. Who is that? Okay, sorry. Sorry, Pink. I always 100% assume that, like, people that make it onto the channel know, like, who these people are. Sorry. So, Jason Weeby is a super, super, super well-known miniature sculptor. And he is, like, the co-host now with Michael Proctor. So, the Crow's Nest is on, what, Wednesdays? Or Thursdays? Justin?
It's on Tuesdays. Jason Weeby is, yes.
Shows how much I know. But so on Tuesday, so tomorrow, if you are able to catch them, you should be able to ask him those questions specifically. Most people nowadays that sculpt miniatures do it digitally, so that's the difference. And then there's obviously Reaper also hires two epic legends that have been sculpting for longer than I've been alive, if I had to put money on it. And that's Julie Guthrie, Bob Rodolphi, and Julie's got a video actually online, I think, of like making a tree out of green stuff and like paperclip and copper wire and stuff. And that's a class that she teaches at conventions. That's really good to kind of get you familiar with the materials and how they work. But they're like legendary sculptors as well. So, but yeah, hand sculpting's cool. It's definitely a good skill for people that like if you're a miniature painter in general, right? It's always good so you can convert things. You can do texture matching, right? Like that's about the equivalent of skill that I have. I have sculpted some stuff by hand completely, though, like a few monsters and bases I do sculpting, but beyond that I just avoid big time. Alright, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm pushing the paint up towards the bottom edge there of each little vine so I can get it to taper and shade correctly. Well, Pink, I would say all of the pros, other than what's funny is sculpting isn't cheap, in general, right? Like, epoxy is not cheap. Like, the only thing that keeps it relatively inexpensive is, like, the size of the miniature. So, the material to sculpt something this size that I'm working on right now, maybe $6 to $7 worth of green stuff, right? Like, it's just not cheap. But digitally, right, like obviously you will need some type of tablet, either input or a monitor, something like that. Obviously the nice part is that your materials never run out because it's digital. And then, the most common software is ZBrush, and that is not free. There is a cheap version of it, though, that isn't super limited necessarily, but it is a lot cheaper. And you can pay for it monthly, yearly, whatever. It's just like paying for Photoshop, stuff like that. But that's like, that's what 99% of most sculptors use. Blender's cool. It's just not, it's just not the industry standard in terms of sculpting with a pen, if that makes sense. But it definitely works. Blender's totally fine. A lot of people do manipulation, things like that for 3D printing in Blender for sure. But I just know the workflow is way faster. Sydney, my girlfriend, does sculpting in ZBrush, so all of my familiarity with ZBrush comes through everything that she does with it. So, and then just knowing in general, like what's funny is I remember when ZBrush was brand new. And it's back when I, every naive nerd is like, I'm gonna make video games. So that's started messing with that. And actually, what's funny is when I first used ZBrush, was back in, I believe, 10th grade. and I used it because I wanted to paint on top of models. So like already done, 3D sculpts that were rigged for video games. But I wanted to do the texture mapping by hand, right, with my Wacom at the time. So like that's what I was using it for back then. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, I made an MMORPG, quote unquote, right? But it was a multiplayer role-playing game as a part of my 10th grade 6-month independent study when I lived in Allen, Texas, and went to Allen High School. And so I got it made. I used an engine called Realm Crafter, which was really cool. And then I used that to run the game, and then brought it to school and put it on one of the computers, obviously, so that someone could connect to it while I ran the server off my PC. So I brought my gigantic desktop to school, right, which is funny. And then I ran it, and then the IT guy came into the room, 911, like, someone's put files on a computer, like immediately freaking out. And my teacher's like, it's all good, dude. This is what he did for his study. And then I remember he got mad because, so I had Rest in Peace MF Doom, right? But so like the background music I had in the video game was actually, I believe, Danger Mouse or MF, I forget which MF Doom album. But so like the track lists were, whatever, and it would say Doom. And then that was like part of the thing. That was one of the reasons why I got flagged on the network. So funny, man. But I was always getting in trouble with IT guys, man. I remember too, he was like, how'd you figure out how to do this? And I'm like, I don't go outside. This is what I do. I watch Toonami and make video games. Sydney. Oh, okay, I didn't know you were home. That really freaked me out. So I'm just working my way down the body here, thinly highlighting up. That's kind of the remainder of today, right? Is just reworking all the skin. Let me see if I missed anything. Toonami's still around, sort of. I haven't had cable in so long, though. Man, what's funny, I got in big trouble in my computer science class. So the first year, your final project was to make a business application. And so we ended up doing it was a 2-part thing. You had to make your own business application, and so we did a restaurant POS system. And then the other part was creating an application that did certain things. And so what was funny was the teacher sort of grandfathered me into computer science 2 because you had to take, I believe, trig or calc to be allowed into computer science 2. And I am bad at math, period. So I was taking college algebra, right? Nothing fancy at all. And so he already was doing me a favor by letting me stay in the class. And so part of it was doing this crazy Fibonacci sequence thing in this program that you had to make. It was just really, really convoluted. But some of the upperclassmen could help you, right? And so it was kind of funny because they knew that they were supposed to help you but not give you code. And the guy that was helping us definitely was being super nice, and he's like, no guys, here, I'll help you out, this code will work, and da da da, and kind of explained it, but we just took him on face value, right? Well, they were on purpose giving everybody the same code, which definitely was not what was supposed to be happening. So everyone's parents got called and said that we were going to fail the class, and we were going to fail the semester because we all cheated and we copied each other's code, right? But he didn't realize the upperclassmen did it as a joke, I guess, right? To like screw everybody. And so literally he calls everybody in, and he's like, all right, so who copied off of who, like 4 different groups, and we're like, literally we didn't copy off anybody. Like we're trying to convince him, and then he's like, well, how did you end up with the same this and same that and whatever? And we're like, Steve helped us write it. He broke it down for us, and then like as soon as we started to say that, he realized what happened, right? So he gave us like a week to come in after school to like rewrite it in our own way, right? Which we barely did. I remember I ended up getting like a 79 on it or something. Like I just was happy that it was done. But so he didn't fail any of us. He just made us redo it. But then old Steve got in huge trouble, and I don't even remember what went down. Like I remember I saw him in the hallway one time, and I was at a high school that had 6,000 kids. So unless you're in the same room at the same time, you're not going to see people. And remember I saw him in the hall one time, and he like kind of like shouted something at me, but I was already so long gone that like I don't even like literally I saw the kid once, and it was when he was helping our group. So, but I don't think it ended well for him because my professor, Mr. Baker, was a old school hacker that got he sort of got in trouble with the FBI, but he worked with them kind of. So like they figured out how to hack a Keno machine in Vegas, and they figured out the algorithm for it, and they won like 15 grand one weekend, and off of like literally one bet. Like they guessed it, they ran the program upstairs, somebody called from the room, and then they perfectly hit the number. And so like they called the Vegas Gaming Commission, and they were like, hey, we figured out your machines, here's what we did. Well, and they're like, we're never gonna do it again, yada yada yada, but we're helping you out by telling you. And so the Gaming Commission was like, cool, but if you ever do this again, right, obviously we're gonna ban you from every place ever in Vegas. And so that was like his involvement. And then later the people he was doing that with went to Magic City or Jersey City, whatever, the East Coast casino, and they did the same thing, and the FBI ended up calling him, being like, hey, you and your buddies, and he's like, I was in town, I have an alibi. And supposedly they did it like 6 times in a row for like $180,000. So, but that was Baker's big claim to fame. And then if you took it, so like I learned basic C and C sharp, and if you like did his classes, you ended up getting a scholarship to UNT for computer science. But then my family ended up moving, so that was really cool. But that was going to be my path, right? I wasn't going to be a starving artist, but here we are. That's how the universe shook out. But he was really dope. And then in the back of the room, he would play, I forget what video game he was playing. He would play like, I think he played Wolfenstein like all day on his, he had like a crazy setup. And this is the early 2000s, right? So like, you didn't spend $800 to get an amazing computer. You spent a lot of money. Not that $800 isn't a lot of money, but yeah, he was a cool guy. But that's also why, like, he didn't like ruin our lives after that happened, because he understood we just got finessed by some idiot. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, yeah, you got scammed. So yeah, he was a cool guy. Really, really like quiet, meek. All right, so now we have this color. We've completely reshaded up everything. We have 2 different tones. We got the red tone, purple tone, looking dope. So I'm gonna grab a full brush tip of yellow, full brush tip of the lighter skin tone, mix that in, and that will be our next highlight color that we're really only gonna be applying on top of like hands, the face, all that good stuff. So here we go. But yeah, that was a good old Allen High School, man. Gosh, and I remember like Computer Science 1, it was all good, right? Computer Science 2, I would be so scared depending on what we were learning, because like for real, there were multiple times going into that room where I was like, I know I am so lost that nothing can save me, right? Like, I'm done. I can't do the math. I don't understand what's happening. But luckily, like I had some really good friends in there, Chris, Ruel, like all these guys that I grew up with. And what's funny is I was in all the gifted and talented classes and like IB classes, but no math, no science. And they were in none of the English or lit or anything like that, but they were in only the math and science. So that's the only time I got to see them. And I'm like, I don't understand any of this. So I would like help them with their essays and all that stuff and like their IB formatting and whatever. And then they would help me with the math side. But that's the only way I survived, man. But it was also like this was before any of like the easy web languages exist. Well, not easy to say, but like, you know, if you were taking a computer science course now, like and it was an intro thing, I would assume they'd be like, you know, you're learning Java, right? Or like something that turns into a web language, because that's where the money's at, right? Like some kind of framework like that. But he was teaching us like, you know, we were literally using BASIC and a barrel compiler. Like it was just the worst, nothing but number crunching, you know, like a DOS interface. So eventually it just got really hard. But if you know, if you're going to UNT, it's like, yeah, you're going to use Visual Basic, C#, like it just would have been way different. But learning how to walk before you can run, right, which was his concept, definitely was intimidating and difficult for somebody that was not good at math, because that, for whatever reason, was like every assignment that wasn't like do your own thing ended up being like, you know, input this data, I should be able to put in this number and I get this result. And it's like, man, no thanks. No thanks, Mr. Baker. Yeah, I remember my mom, though, when he called, he's like, yeah, you failed. She lost it, dude. It was bad. The only time I ever did really poorly in IV was chemistry, and it was like the first report card. I had like a 60, and I remember I told my mom, which in Texas wasn't failing, or I had like a 65, right, which isn't failing. Under a 60 is failing. And I had like a perfect GPA up until that point. And I told my mom, I was like, hey, I gotta get out of this class, right? Like I can't handle it. And she's like, you just need to study more. I'm like, no, Mom, this is a brain thing, and it ain't happening, right? And then once I got into like a regular chem, I was like, what happened? I didn't try at all. Like never tried again, and had like a 90. So, but I just could not handle. It was the speed of which they were doing things. Like you know, we would learn like one principle, and then the next, and you'd have to memorize like a million things, and then the next week they'd move on, and I'm like, I can't. I need 3 weeks per section. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that was brutal. So right here at the top of the belly, I want to round this out. The highlight just to show that the belly's round right there, and then a little bit of the top underneath right there. See, we're starting to build in some shape. And the top of the belly here. There we go. Here on the neck. Okay. And now the back of, you know, it's the texture on the back of its skin and everything is very modeled, I should say. So studio art painting, man. That ended up being my college major. And then I did 2 AP portfolios at a time, and that was unheard of when I came up here. I did AP Digital and AP Drawing, or 2D, whatever. And got perfect scores on both. It was pretty sick. And then, of course, the college I went to only gave me credit for one. Such a scam, dude. They're like, hey, we know you did something really difficult, but our system literally doesn't know how to give you credit for it. So we're, good job, but nobody cares. And of course, like, my art teacher's like, this is amazing, great job, you're gonna get credit for it. No. Definitely wasn't his fault, though. What's funny is I ended up doing... I'm trying to think. I want to say I ended up doing 4 or 5 art shows with my high school art teacher after high school. But now he's an artist in residence at a museum in, I want to say Munich. So he's a real deal. You can look up his stuff too. His name's Bjorn Bauer. He does really, really sweet work. Really cool, like, I don't want to say abstract, but he does like metal, like death metal album covers, but they're like really, I don't know. There's not a good way to describe his style other than like just abstract impressionism, I guess. But he'll do like posters and different things like that. Which is completely different than the other instructor I had growing up, Isaac Applin, who's a Chicago Institutes of the Arts guy. He's really well known watercolorist, but like his work is just, I don't even know how to describe it other than like really illustrative, and it takes him a long time to do pieces, and he uses like a million pieces of reference and just totally different like style and belief in painting and everything. So but I learned a lot from him on mixing. Would you know any bands? I mean, they were all like literally Scandinavian bands, so, and that's not the kind of music that I listen to. So I would not know. But I know they were like, I know they literally paid him like whatever he asked. So I know it wasn't it wasn't Jorgen's garage band. And then some amp company also paid him to do like crazy designs on the amps too. And this was all before this was like right out of high school. This was before we were doing shows. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't have any of his work up in here. Oh yeah, I do. I've got one right there. You guys can't see it though. And one right here. I have quite a few of his. He'll do like big litho posters that he paints on top of as well. Do the ear. I've got quite a bit. Oh my god, why did I do that? That was too bright. It's okay. I'll match it on this side and then we'll tone it down. We're just about to start the gills and everything, so I am happy with the skin currently. So now then, we're gonna grab Heraldic Red. And we're gonna do a light pink and then wash it down with purple, and that'll be like the nose and eyes and everything. See if I miss anything, yeah. Yeah, he does crazy lettering too whenever he does that stuff. Different skill set than me. Alright, so I'm gonna take Peachy Flash, Heraldic Red, mix the two. I'm gonna do a little bit more red actually. There we go. I want it to be like bubblegum pink. And go ahead and we're gonna do underneath the eyes, and the nose. So just aim like we're doing here. Pretty much like that. And then up into the ears, connect that to the eye. And then the gills. Okay. It looks crazy now, I know. What's up, Zero? Alright, so now I'm going to grab the fins. We're going to let all this dry before we wash it down. We're getting there. We can compare. So there's more red on the previous painted version, so we can go back and add more red. That is drying pretty quickly, so I'm going to grab our purple. I'm going to grab the runic purple. Do I ever use airbrush paint? All the time. All the time. So like this guy, the color shifting on the body was done with the airbrush, and all the base coating was done with the airbrush. Everything else, like the zenithal and the blade, was done with the airbrush. Everything else is done by hand. At the end of the day, like the airbrush really is just a complementary tool that you can use, right, for certain things. Like I do all of the priming and zenithal work in airbrush, but there is no such thing as like a start to finish miniature with airbrush, so that's not really how it goes down. I mean, you certainly could, but it's not going to look good. In trouble. Thanks for the raid. So I'm going to take this purple and we're going to wash it on top of the snout and everything like that. Pretty much everywhere where we just had, right, the previous color. Okay. And some more water. There we go. And then on the fins on the arm and everything. Huh. That was weird. It wasn't thin enough. Let me attempt that again. I'm missing things. Let me see. That's interesting. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, an airbrush definitely is at the most basic level. Yeah, it's like an indoor version of a spray paint can, right? But when you're dealing with an expensive airbrush, it's definitely a handheld atomizer. So we're gonna grab heraldic red, mix it in with the purple, and I'm gonna grab some of the dragon red as well. We're gonna go for like a deep color here. I want everything to be dry. I'm gonna make this a very thin wash. Go back over everything once again. I want these colors to be a bit more drastic than the first time I painted them. And then we'll dull everything back down. But you'll see what we'll be doing here is building the colors back on top. While we're waiting on that though, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that same reddish glaze that we worked with previously. And we'll go up underneath the right-hand side here. Now that we're kind of doing more advanced stuff this year, it's always like a race against time, right? But honestly, we're doing some really good work here in the time that we have set aside. There we go. So that red built in is going to be really nice. Okay, so I'm going to go back in, and you can see it there on the bottom of the palette with a pretty much similar color to the base coat that we had initially. I'm going to be rebuilding it back on top of the nose and all these different areas, right, where we laid down that pink. So essentially, right, I want it to shift back. You can see already in the face, that's kind of how it goes back on top. But I want to blend it in as if it's just tinted in the shadows, right, that nice reddish pink tone. And you'll see, like, the trick to it is that we're blending it in with the initial color, which is what I'm doing now, and then we highlight it with a pink on top. So, like, you're shifting the color twice or 3 times. I don't. Based on our other conversation, you should know I'm not good at math, but you know, we're making it jump around multiple times to get the color that we're hoping for here. But you can see, right, it's very seamless once you actually do that. The other ogre, I'm not sure what other ogre you're talking about. This one? This is the exact same mini. I don't know what you're talking about. It's literally the exact same thing. Alright, so combining the two here. Yeah, we're just missing the, like, seaweed vines or whatever. Okay. So now we've worked in that shadow really, really nicely. Now the eyes still need to dry and everything, but we're going to go back to our brighter highlight color. Some water here to thin it back. Here we go. You can't see, I'm over here in palette land. Redo the eyebrows here. Lighty Gaming with a party of 256. Hey, that's a good kilobyte number. Thanks for the raid. Hope you all are doing good today. We are just finishing up painting this marrow, which is like a aquatic themed ogre, right? We're giving it a nice little pink blush to its nose and everything there. We're letting it all dry currently. But, so we're essentially, I've painted one before, right? And then we always sit and repaint it. So like this is the finished version that we're aiming to get to here. Alright. So now this is all drying a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and segment out these different sections before shifting to the pink. Which we'll do here shortly. Get the top of the lip here, bottom of the lip. As we move our way around, up underneath the ear, side of the eye, top of the ear to you, and we move our way down. Remember this weekend on Patreon, we're going to be doing Implied Fur on the big Bones Black Winter Wolf mini, right? So that'll be a lot of fun. You can always check out everything that we're doing on Patreon. We did hit our 80 patron goal, so now I guess I got to change that to 100. But that was fun. We did the first gaming stream, Patreon gaming stream, as a little celebration for that, so it was pretty cool. And then, of course, we added a ton of stuff, like I said, over the weekend to the store. So we have a bunch of busts, display pieces, 75mm display pieces, things like that. You can check that out, minipainting.studio. And then everybody that has placed orders, the first batch goes out tomorrow with another batch swiftly following behind that. So big thanks. Big thanks. If you are new to painting, anything like that, and you want to know all the supplies that I use, from the lights to the brushes, other than the paints, you guys know what paints I use. But you can always check out the Amazon shop as well. You can do !Josh's things in the chat, I'm pretty sure. And it will find its way to you. So I'm going to take that light pink color, mix it in with more of the skin tone. I'm going to use this to segment out everything right here as well. So this light pink color is going on top of kind of the bottom of the nose. You could use a direct white instead of the skin tone to highlight it to make it like super pastel pink, but I am not necessarily super concerned with doing that. I just want to shift it to a different tone away from the yellow ochre we've been using the majority of the time. And then build this in towards the tear ducts and the eyes. So you'll see me doing that here now. Like so. Let me see. A little bit more. I want to make sure to do this portion that goes kind of up in between the eyebrows as well. There we go. All right, so now then let's jump on to our grass. I'm gonna grab this wilderness green, or grass, whatever, the seaweed stuff. What's funny is this is gonna break up a lot of the color too, because we're adding a brand new tone to the mix. So as carefully or as quickly as you would like, just go through and apply a singular coat here. And then we'll just wash down and around it. Relatively easy peasy. See you later, Pink. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks everybody hanging out today, for sure. Now then, next week we'll be painting Crow's Nest Willie. Ooh, I think that's his name. But it's cool. It's the pirate skeletal sniper guy. Definitely a more standard paint job in terms of, you know, what we're doing. This was definitely an exercise in patience on glazing the skin up and down, all that good stuff. But Crow's Nest is a Warlord mini, so for those that care, or if you haven't grabbed him yet, right? He's in the Warlord line of minis. Down on the legs. Now then, this color is dull enough to where I'm hoping, actually, to just apply a highlight directly on top. I don't really want to mess with having to wash it down, so make sure you get the loop underneath the belly there. Oh, with the dark brown, we should wash. Okay, so... Oh, whoops, the fins on the back of the legs. Hey, we'll do that real quick. Wouldn't be a stream with me if I wasn't like, oh, I've completely ignored this part of the miniature. Great. Great. Okay, we're cool. We're cool. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So I'm just gonna take like this dark color here, wash it on top. I'll highlight it up. I'm gonna actually apply the same color in here. How funny though. Very, very on brand. Apply more on the nose and everything. Inside the ears, and then right up where the gills meet the side of his big old dome. Should probably do you well. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a dark wash here out of something. There we go. Add some blue to it. And I just want this to be a secondary tone to the blue, so that way we can just highlight it up, not really worry about it too much. Definitely like a reddish purplish brown. And then I'm gonna dull down the fins on the arms too with the same color. Okay. So now I'm gonna add our flesh color here to the green and make a nice sort of middle of the road green. You can add a little bit of yellow. Actually, I'll do the same. There we go. And I'm just going for highlighting up the interior portions here of the kelp or whatever this actually is, vines. Whatever you tell yourself, right? There's no direct lore behind the mini. Of course I say that. Ron's like punching the air somewhere in his office right now, like, the Marrow's name is Adam. He's a family man. He's like, he had written a whole backstory here. What's the number of names that they like used to think people could memorize at an active time? Like 200 something? Because we know that can't be true with the way Ron has this like infinite knowledge base of like monster names, character names, town names, just all the lores trapped in his noggin. I wonder if it like comes out at weird times, like he's hanging out with his bros, cooking some glizzies. And he's like, grab me the Mare Salute, and everyone's like, Ron, come on, dude. You're doing it again. Easy enough. The mayor is a door-to-door vacuum salesman. I believe it's Sharky. He's like, quick, buy this before your husband gets home. I'm a door-to-door salesman. Which pretty much is the entire plot to Death of a Salesman. It's so funny to disrespect like a classic work of art like that and just be like, nah, it's just some dude trying to sell stuff to women. All right, look at that, we're getting there. All right, so we're just I'm gonna mix like an off tan color here with the skin to do whatever they are. They could be shells, they could be whatever, but I'm just gonna paint this on like so. Bit of a highlight. I don't really care what it is. Painter's choice, that's what we'll say. Anytime I'm hitting a detail I don't know what to do with, I'm just like, painter's choice, guys. Good luck. I believe in your decision making, some of you. Not all. Definitely not Justin. But no, yeah, see. Let's see. So I'm gonna actually paint this color in on the teeth, and then we're just gonna wash them down like crazy. Or maybe not. I like the very prominent 4 teeth in the front there. He looks super dopey. He's alright. Get off my swamp. Get out of my swamp. Alright. So we've got a brown. We're gonna make a little brown here for the here we go, I'm gonna add some green. I'm just mixing it on the palette. I couldn't be bothered to actually grab one here. I'm gonna do the ropes. And we'll wash those down. Let that dry. And we'll highlight up the bottom stuff. Picasso juice stuff with a paint and a brush. I mean, you're not wrong, man. Real quick highlight on the his hula skirt here. It's kind of like a teal, a deep aqua color. What if this is one of the guys that like comes through apartment complexes scamming people to sell magazines? He's like, I remember one time in Oklahoma City, this dude knocked on my door and he like tried to look inside as I cracked it open, which I immediately was like, okay, this, you know, this is something scammy here. And his whole pitch was like, yeah, we're doing a contest and the winner gets to go to Six Flags. I'm like, dog, you're like 30, right? Like, what is going on? And he's like, if the girls knock on the door, don't answer. The guys have teamed up. We're trying to beat them. And I'm like, what is this pitch you're giving me, dude? Like, I'm about to call the police. What are you doing? And of course, this is the apartment complex that had a security gate that someone drove through the same week that it was installed, and then they never fixed it for 2 years. Really good, dude. Really good place, man. Hey, you know, all these people out here, crabs in a bucket, trying to be fake professional painters, right? Like, that's what you can afford. So it's glamorous, man. Grab the other little danglers here. And I think we've just about done it, man. Just about done did it. Let me figure out where I've hidden the black. Here it is. So we can wash the rope. So remember, next week we'll be painting up Crow's Nest Willie, the crazy undead pirate sniper dude that looks really cool. And then hopefully right end of this week you guys will see all the painted images for next month, so it's super exciting. This week we're finishing up the Dwarf Atelier paint along as well. You can see that here. This has been a fun paint job. He's almost done. Almost. He's almost there. We have a couple details to go in, clean up, finish up. But that'll be finished this week. Finally, as we move on to the next project, I'll be finishing up that Mando bust as well, so I'm definitely excited to finish that. Everybody seemed to really like it. I'll try and push the weird kind of like Borderlands style that I was doing on it, I guess. I don't know. It wasn't intentional. It was just kind of like we were playing around and then it just started turning into that. So we'll get that done. That'll be exciting. I kind of want to paint one of these new busts, but I'm not entirely sure. I know I'm sending a couple as surprises in some orders for people, but they're definitely fun. But yeah, let's see. Let's compare the brothers. I like the one we did today because it's much brighter. It always depends. They're always different, but I like it. I hope you guys enjoyed as per usual, and you're ready to rock and roll next week as well for Crow's next week. Crow's Nest Willie. We'll come up with a song for him, I am sure. Justin, do you have any housekeeping items for us? Anything like that? Did they find the wild javelina running through the warehouse yet, or?
I didn't know that was a thing, but no, I don't have any housekeeping.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, do we have a?
Who would you like to rate today? Actually, I was going to give you the option.
Awesome. Okay. Let me finish and glance over here. Let's see. Let's see who we can go visit. Let's see. All right. Where is Twitcherino? Let's see who has got the biggest. let's see. Finishing Space Puppies. Let's see. What about Niv Keats Paints? I'll send you the link here. It's NIVEKEAT. 3 viewers. Here, I'll send it to you though on Twitch or Discord. There you go.
All right.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out as usual. Same place, same time next week. Ready to rock and roll. Stay awesome. Make sure to say hello. Make this person's day, I'm sure. I'm about to jump in there. So, have a good week, guys.
Thank you guys very much. I will see you tomorrow.